Hi ladies, Jennifer Brooks here. I'm going to be demonstrating how to make these two cards here. I used the emboss stamp resist technique. I think that's how you say it. So basically I heat embossed, which makes it so that when you put the inks on here, it resists in the spot where you put the stamps. If you can see here, this is actually with white embossing powder. And then this one, I used gold embossed powder. You see how it just shines there. I absolutely love embossing things. It just adds a little extra dimension to your scrapbook layouts and your cards. A little bit more pop. Love it. So I'm going to show you how to make these two cards here. And I'm going to show you real quick what supplies I used. I used 4 different inks. Tangerine, exclusive ink from Close to My Heart, Pansy, Raspberry, and Juniper. And then on top of that, to the stamp sets I used was the Prickly Pear scrapbooking set. And I used this stamp, this stamp, this stamp, and this stamp. And then the stamp of the month for August is this cute school stamp set, but I only actually used the hearts out of this stamp set. And the sentiment here was actually part of it. I think I got this when I enrolled as a consultant, so I'm not 100% sure if you can get this any other way, but just 4 cute little sentiments. And I chose You Are Special so that later on the inside's actually blank, so that I could just add whatever I wanted, like happy birthday or whatever. So that's I'm gonna leave blank for now. And then of course I used embossing powders, and you've got several different. You could use any embossing powder, but I used white and gold. You're gonna need Versamark, which is actually the glue. I used 2 different stamp acrylic blocks for my stamps. This is a 2x2 and a 4x5. You're going to need a tape runner. This is the one Close to My Heart sells. You are going to need, of course, a card and envelope. This actually comes in a set of 50, and they're already pre-scored for you, so all you have to do is fold it, and then you're ready to go. Very handy to already have the base ready for you. So that, and then you're going to need some white daisy cardstock. I cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4. And then you're going to need, for your sentiments, I have 2 different designs here. This was just a small piece I cut out after I stamped it. This is part of the Whimsy paper pack, Whimsy Fundamental paper pack. I literally just cut it out after and then used a corner punch to round the corners. But this one, I used this brand new basic tag set, die set. Love thin dies. If you do not use the thin cuts, you should, because these things are fabulous. Still got a little piece of paper stuck in there from earlier. But this is brand new, just came out, and there's some stamps that pair up with it too. But I actually used the middle 2 sizes for this look here. And then to finish off with the embellishments, I used the Little Dreamers Glitter Gems 3-pack. There's 3 colors in there, and the Bitty Sparkles. Now I'm going to tell you, the Prickly Pear and the Little Dreamers Gems, they are going to be out of the catalog as of the end of this month. So if you want them, you need to get them now. I love this stamp set because I've used it quite a few times. The flowers are great. And if you actually want, you can get the stamp set and thin cut set. It's a pair. You can buy them separately or you can buy them together. That way you can actually cut these flowers and stuff out if you wanted to, but I only use the stamp set for this project. Okay, so we're going to get started here. So first thing you're going to need is a piece of paper. Where's my paper? There it is. a piece of paper for your powder is going to go on top of this. You're going to need your piece of white daisy that you have cut down, and you are going to take the prickly pear stamp set, and you're going to take the dies and you're going to place them exactly where you're going to want them on the stamp set, or when you stamp it down. So I just took them and I played with them until I figured out exactly where I wanted them to look. You can do it any way you want to. And then I took my block, and these are face down, and then I just took my block, pressed it down, and picked them all up. So this is exactly where I'm going to want them every single time. So now it's like you're creating your own background, but you're not trying to figure out exactly where you want each piece each time. They're already set in a pattern. So that's my pattern. So then you're going to take your Versamark, and you are going to get everything nice and sticky. If you've never used Versamark, this is a really fun stamp pad to use because you can use it for so many things. Then you're going to stamp where you want it, and you're just going to keep doing that all over. You can't hardly see it. If you were here, you'd be able to see exactly where I stamped if you were looking close enough. Here. And you're just going to keep doing that in a pattern. A little hard to see. Oops, I stamped over. Alright, I'm going to flip that over because I accidentally stamped over because it's hard to see with this video, which is the beautiful part of this. I can just turn it over and start over. Alright, let's try and be a little more careful this time. Okay. Now I've stamped two main areas, but now I kind of want to get my corners. So you don't actually need to get the whole pad wet. You just need to get part of it. And again, you want to be careful and make sure you are paying attention. Alright. I'm going to do that little corner last. Now, the really fun part about this is no matter what you do, you're going to get a different look each time, because there's no way to get it exactly the same as the last one, which is the fun part about scrapbooking and stamping, is you're always going to get a new look. Honestly, that is the best part. Alright, then you're going to take your embossing powder and cover your whole piece. And you're going to see, as you pull it away, you're going to be left with this powder that's stuck to everywhere you just stamped. If you have any extra, you can just take a little paintbrush and kind of brush it off. Turn it over, give it a little flick, whichever works. Then you're going to take your leftover powder, and you're just going to dump it back in there to reuse for another time. Embossing is actually quite a messy technique, but it is one of my favorites because you can get so many cute techniques and projects from this, but it does leave a lot of mess behind. So then you're going to be stuck right now with this powdered look. Now as you heat emboss it, it is going to actually turn a glossy, wet look. Not sure if you're going to be able to see it here, but you're going to take your heat gun and you're just going to hold it, and you're going to work your way around. You don't want to hold it in one spot the whole time. because you can burn your paper. And you're just going to keep moving it around until you get it to start turning that wet glossy look. And it does take a little bit of time. I don't know if you can see it, but it is starting to turn colors. And as it turns colors, then you'll just move it from one spot to another. It just really is a beautiful look with this weave. My heat gun's pretty old. I think I'm starting to need a new one because it takes a lot longer than it used to heat. I've had this one for years. And you just want to go one more time over and make sure you hit all the spots. Just remember not to overheat because you can burn the paper. And then you'll have to start all over again, which isn't really a bad thing, but if you can see it here, oh, there's that glossy on that flower. Oh my gosh, I love this. Love, love, love this. Okay, so after you do that, you want to just make sure you got all your powder out of the way. This stuff, I'm telling you, does make a mess. And then you're going to need another one of your scrap papers. Okay, oh, one of the things I didn't show you as part of the stuff that I used was my daubers. I love my daubers. This is a huge set, and as I use my inks, I just label them because we're going to use all these inks here to go over top of this, making sure it's dry. So I'm going to need my little raspberry dauber, my pansy, my juniper, and my tangerine. Now the daubers, if you've never used them before, are great. You can use them to go around the outside. If you can see here, I took the dauber and I literally just went around the outside. It's a great way to add a little bit dimension. You can use them to just go over top of the pieces like we're going to do right now. Okay, so when you're ready, you're going to take your ink, you're going to daub it up, just get it nice and then you're going to start, and I start out the outside until I see exactly how I'm going to want it, how much pressure. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I love the way this looks. However, if you do not like the little, it kind of almost looks like a tie-dye. If you do not like the tie-dye look, do not use the daubers because they will leave this looking kind of tie-dyed. You will want to use a sponge or those little pads that they make for, like Tim Holtz makes them, and they are a little bit more smoother, but I myself like the tie-dye look, so I use my daubers. And then you're just going to move on from one to the other. Next I used raspberry. Nope, wait, I used purple. I like the purple with the green. So let me go back to that. I liked the purple. I think purple and green is beautiful together. And depending on how dark or light you want it, you can press harder. You're going to want to kind of mix through into the next color so that they kind of blend together. You might have to go back over a couple times. Just remember that when you first start, it's going to be much darker, so you want to kind of start off the paper coming into it so that you're getting that lighter look. And you can always go back and blend a little bit more. But you see how it's resisting to where the embossing powder is dried on? It's going right through there, so the white is still popping right out. That's what I love about this technique. You can start with a plain white piece of paper and make so many different designs because the inks and the embossing just you can do more than just this. You could do so many different techniques with this. It's just a fun background. And again, you just go back and forth until you get the look that you want. Some people like a smoother look. I actually really liked the tie-dye-ish look. So it's really a preference. But I love how the white just pops through. And then the last color I used was the tangerine. And how dark or light you want it, again, it just depends on you. I actually like it a little darker in some places and a little bit lighter, just because it really does add that whole tie-dye look to it. And I love how these stamps just pop off the paper. Okay, so now you've got, if you see it, oh my gosh, it's just beautiful. All that white popped up there. Gorgeous. Just love it. Okay, so once you've got that set, then the next step that you need to do is to take your card base, which is just plain white paper, and you're going to stick this down to it. So you're going to take your tape runner. You can use any tape runner you want. I get mine from Close to My Heart. I just put a little bit in every spot. And then you're just going to pop it down based on what you like the way it looks. You're just going to put it right down there. And this, I mean, this is the most simple card that you can come up with, and it doesn't require a whole lot of time. I mean, this didn't take long at all. Okay, so the next step is we need to make our sentiment. So I used my Cuttlebug, which I'm going to pop out here. And I took that Whimsy cardstock. Now you can either stamp it now and then cut it, or you can cut it out and then stamp it. It really doesn't matter. I stamped it the first time and then cut it. This time I'm just going to cut it out. But you basically put it up there, get it in the position where you want it, and then you put your top cutting plate, and you just roll it through the cutter. You're going to want A, B, and C for this because these are thin dies. And it just pops out like that. Love it. And I'm telling you what, these are so handy. Tag dies you can use for everything. Then you're going to take a plain piece of white daisy for our smaller tag. And again, run it through your die, or your die machine. And then I wanted to kind of pull down the orange into the bottom part a little bit. So I took my white die and let's see here. I have my scrap piece of paper that I used. Took my dauber for the tangerine, and I just literally went around the white tag to get it the color I wanted it. I also took my dauber and went around to darken the outside. Just gives it a little bit more dimension. So now you've got that piece there. And my white, or my pinkish piece here, I took our sentiment and I stuck it on my smaller, and we use the raspberry. Now I love taking a lighter color of the same thing. This is a lighter pink, and using a darker pink and putting it on top. I just love how that pops out when you put it down. It just really looks beautiful. Now, I used another technique here with these little hearts from the Stamp of the Month step here. Okay, so you take your hearts, and I actually used another technique called second generation stamping. That's where you get a nice dark ink, you stamp it once, and then you stamp it again without re-inking, and it leaves you this it almost looks like I used a whole nother ink to stamp there. Kind of got a little off center there, but that's okay. So then I took, whoops, I put it away. I get ahead of myself sometimes. I still want to do the outsides of this to just give it that dimension. But I love the second generation stamping because it almost looks like I used two inks and I didn't. And it still leaves it quite pretty. Okay, so now you got your two pieces there. I'm going to bring this back over. Now what I did is I just kind of eyeballed where I wanted it. Now the first time I did this, I actually put the gems down first and realized that I still had to put my sentiment on there. So I'm doing this the smart way this time and doing the sentiment first. You're going to start with, you're going to get yourself some tape, because this piece is actually going to get taped down all the way, and you just want to make sure you got exactly where you want it. And then the other piece is going to use this foam 3D tape, which is fabulous. I love the 3D tape. And you're just going to cut a couple pieces to pop it up. And then you're going to peel off the back. And you're just going to put it wherever you want it. And there you go. And then you finish up with whatever embellishments you like. I finished up with the sparkles, the little gem sparkles, and ended up with this look, but you could do something totally different if you wanted. I'm not going to take the time to put the gems on because you already see the finished product here. But that's how you make the, that's how you do the resist embossed stamp technique. Hope you loved the video. I will be posting in the comments and in the description all the things that where you can get all the stuff that I used today. Fabulous technique, and you can use this on scrapbook layouts, everything. It's just gorgeous. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.